Hi friends, it's Sarah from RufflesandRainboots.com here with an oh-so floppy ear bunny gnome, styled two different ways. If you'd like to make it boop boop, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so that I know you're here crafting with me. Now here's who we are going to be making. We're going to go beyond a sock gnome, even though these look like the squishy little cuties, and look at the little bunny tails. And we're just going to match out with our faux fur. We're going to wire some ears and let others flop. So we need to get started with the pattern. This is a hat and ear pattern, also two body sizes. We're going to need a glue gun, scissors, uh, pliers, an X-Acto knife, a needle and embroidery thread, and some sewing pins, some faux fur, a wood ball for a nose. I'm going to be using a 1-inch wood round. You can use anything you have. This is just Mongolian and white, two different colors of fleece. My primary is going to be white with a blue accent. And then I'm going to wire some of the ears. So this is just Doris's floral wire, and you need something to measure everything with. So just a note on the floral wire, this is the easy bend type. So I'm going to do all of the cutting for this pattern with a pair of scissors. You can either cut a 12 by 8, 12 inches wide, 8 inches tall, or 13. So the pink gnome I made was 12, and this one will be 13. We're going to glue with right sides together, the bottom and the long, tall edge. That's it to get started. I get asked a lot if I can recreate the box gnome body that I have in a popular free pattern for sewing. I get asked a lot. So I'm trying to incorporate a few more of these hot glued box bottom gnomes. They are super easy to make and they come together fairly quickly. So I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch at the top, and then I'm going to make one note about fleece. We want, if you don't have 4-way stretch fleece, you want your hat to be stretchy on the width. Okay, so when you cut your hat pattern out, this is the hat base, make sure the width is where the stretch is. All right, so do pin these two pieces together. We'll be working with the brim here. I'm just going to put them right sides together, so I'm turning up this brim on the wrong side of the fabric, both sides, and it's just a 1/2 inch or so, but you can go deeper. This is a versatile pattern. It's super cute too, and it's fun. So ears, you don't have to do this, but I thought it'd be cute to put the right sides together of two different colors of fleece and just pin that pattern on, cut it out, and then pin them and save it for later. Okay, there's a lot of save it for laters because we will be using hot glue. So the right sides of these are together. You're going to need a detail tip glue gun. You're going to need either hemostats, which are a little bit longer, or a set of pliers. All right, you need something to measure here. So in order to be able to turn these out, we're going to leave the bottom 1.5 inches. So that's 1.5 inches. And you can measure it with, anything you've got, but you have to make sure that stays open. We're going to be able to turn it through that opening. So all I'm going to do here is use a detail tip glue gun and just add a little bit on either side at 1.5 inches. So I know not to go farther than that. And then I'm going to put my entire arm and wrist on the table so I get a nice, solid, non-shaky glue application. I'm just going to make a nice little, section of hot glue all the way around this thing. And no matter if you're putting wire into it or not, when you do better on the hot glue, you do better when you turn it inside right or right sides out. You know what I mean? So if you take some time on this part, you're just going to help yourself out. So do that for both of the ears and then set them aside. And I mean it. Mean it. We've let this body sit, so now it's time to open up this little rectangle bag you've just made. By the way, you can make an easy drawstring bag this way too. What we're going to do is split the sides, and you have a diamond at the bottom. You're going to take about 1 inch of the fabric, and you're going to put both points down onto the center seam. You're going to want to use a generous amount of hot glue here. Okay, generous amount of hot glue there, flip it over while you're still holding the other side. Generous amount of hot glue here across the, like I call it a crossbar. It's not. And then you're going to want to hold it until it sets for real. And then don't touch it. Set it aside. I told you, A lot of setting aside. Okay, so for the hat, you got a lot of options. For this little one, I put it at the top of the curve and then they easily flop over. You can put them lower to have little ears that sort of sit behind the like sad little bunny. I don't know, they remind me of a sad bunny. But either way, they all start out by gluing from the brim up 2 inches. Okay, so that's where you have to be able to cover up all your fur and the majority of the body. So start by gluing up either side. Again, right sides are together. You've already added the brim, and you're just going to do 2 inches on both sides. And then, can you guess? We're going to let that set. So we're just going to put it off to the side and not touch it. We are going to measure 4 inches wide by 2 inches tall for a beard. Now you can make it a rectangle beard, you can make it a V-shaped beard, or you can make it a U-shaped beard. None of it matters. It's your choice. Like, this isn't regimented, right? 4 inches basically covers either the 12-inch body or the 13-inch body really well, and it looks nice without dragging the ground with the fur. That's all. So on this one, I'm going to make a U-shaped body. And if you're new to cutting faux fur, use an X-Acto knife and just cut the very backing of that fabric of the fur. And then watch when you pull it off. Woosa! I don't know why I said that, but it's really cool. Look. We need our 1-inch wood ball. Not yet, though. Just have it over there. It keeps falling off my table. So here's what we got. A body, a hat, 2 ears, a ball, and our beard. Guess what? We are ready to start with assembly. I'm going to turn this bag inside or right sides out and look at the little box bottom you made. Doo-doo-doo-doo. So simple. Then I'm going to take 1 cup of poly pellets and I'm going to add that to the bottom. Now, just FYI, you can add more. I'm not going to tell you not to. But here's where you really need to add a good bit of stuff. So the poly stuffing, so polyfill or stuffing, you can get at the craft store. You can rip it out of a pillow, or you can get it from Dollar Tree stuffed animals. You're just going to want to fill it almost all the way to the top. Make sure there's a good inch of space left. Cut some embroidery thread, thread it through an embroidery needle, and make a running stitch all the way around the top of the body, about 1 inch away. I started at the back seam just because I did. You don't have to. You can literally start in the front. Doesn't matter. Just make sure you didn't tie a knot and you're not pulling that string all the way through. I'm speeding this part up just to get to the good stuff here. We're going to exit the body exactly right next, 1/8 of an inch next to where we started. And then we're just going to pull tight. I'm just tamping everything down, making sure everything is settled. Look at that box bottom. Love it. And then we're going to tie this super duper tight. Sometimes I put 2 loops before tightening it, only because I tend to snap my embroidery thread without it. So I then tied a series of knots because I'm paranoid, cut off the excess, hot glued the knots because did I mention I was paranoid? And then I add a little hot glue into the center of the joint as well. Now drop it, make sure it drops every single time, and then set it aside. Here's my favorite part. Are you ready? You ready for this? All right. So as I mentioned, these are unwired. They're super cute because they're hot glue. They have a little bit of structure to them, okay? But they don't stand up on their own straight up. We're going to do one of those like that so I can show you that, but then we're going to do the other one wired. Now, you can use your hemostats or you can use pliers. Grab the tip and then look, gentle. Listen, gentle. Sometimes us crafters, we're not so gentle, but you see how gentle I'm being? Just gentle, like you're petting a very angry, big kitty or something. Look at that. Comes right through. Look at that. Okay, now here's the part that's kind of frustrating. Rub the entire seam all the way around between your fingers. I'm not going to edit this out because I want you to see how long it takes. This is a true thing. You can also use like a bone folder or the blunt edge of your scissors or a bamboo skewer. But there you go. You've got to roll out all those edges, okay? All right, so this is the Doris floral wire. Don't do it like this. You got to add a whole bunch that's going to go into the body. Get me? Because you don't want that wire to move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little extra down here. And it doesn't have to be perfect up here. We're not even going to put it in yet. But I want to make sure I cut it off. Always, pliers have this handy little wire cutter at the end of the little gator mouth. I don't know I don't know the parts of the pliers, y'all. I stole it from my husband. All right, take the pliers. I can't find my hemostats. I know I have them. I know I moved them, but yeah, I'm not gonna make you watch this again. But basically, you do the same thing. Pull it out and rub it all in your fingers. Just roll it around. If you are sewing, you can just press this, but if you're sewing, you're not going to have the same problem anyway. So this is just, everybody keeps asking me for a glue version of this. So I'm going to give you a glue version of this 100% hot glue, except for the hand sewing, which you technically don't have to do. You can tie that up in a nice big ball. I don't recommend it, but all right. Now we're just going to pull these out to the edges and then twist it, but not yet. Okay, so we're going to actually put this into the hat and then twist it at the bottom here. But you can see it's naturally crossing over. Just don't touch it. Okay, cool stuff coming. Take our little hat, remove the penny pin pins. Now, we're going to use create a front. It doesn't matter. The seams are on the side. So whichever side the front of your hat is going to be, that's the side the color is pointing towards. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So we want to make sure that the color is on the front of the hat. So if you've got an ugly piece of fabric, we're going to line up the place where it's glued on the edge of our hat. Okay, so we want to be able to catch all glued piece inside our join. This is really important, okay, because you got floppy bits at the end, remember? All right, so you can put them to the side. Remember, again, I told you over here, you can put them in the curve of the hat to the side. They'll cross over on the inside of the hat. This one here, you can put it a little further down. You can twist them to where the seams are pointing straight up. There's a whole lot of stuff that you can do here. I'm going to try it this way. I'm going to put them on the top of the hat. Pretty far apart still. Hey, again, you see, remember I told you don't twist it? Now you can twist it. Any part that's sticking out of your hat, you can twist that part. Just don't twist it on the inside yet. All right, here is the fun. It's not really fun. You're going to wait a while. You're going to glue down the back of the hat to the ear. So we're going to do this side as well. Make sure it's not twisted because it will stay that way once you glue it down. All right, so you're going to glue the hat to the back of the ear. And then you're going to glue the centerpiece, so the two hat pieces together. Make sure you get the sides of the ears as well. You got to catch all this just like you would when you were sewing, right? So just tap it. You don't need to press it. We don't want a huge seam here. And then come over to the side. Again, you're going to get the side of the ear and then all the way down to where you already glued. Again, my arm is all the way on the table. My wrist is on the table. So is some hot glue. Look at that. All right, other side. And again, nothing except the weighting has been edited out here, okay? So I'm not speeding anything up. This is literally how long it takes to make. And it's super cute. Add about 5 minutes to waiting for hot glue. Once that's all set, flip it over and do the back side. So now you're gluing the hat to the colored part of your fleece. I picked it up, just make sure everything is joined. And guess what I do? I set it aside. And then I make a pom-pom tail. I cut about a 1-inch square of the same faux fur I'm using for the beard. I'm going to take each point and I'm going to glue it into the center. You don't want to glue the fur on top of the fur. You want to glue the fabric backing to the fabric backing. That'll give you the best join. Now you can also use a pre-made pom-pom. I was about to say I didn't know where they are, but that's not true. I know exactly where they are. I'm just too lazy to go get them. All right, so now I'm going to roll that in between my hands, and then I'm going to give it a haircut. This is kind of messy, but if you have a lint brush, it's quick rolling, or you can be like me and just toss it to the floor, which is boop, what I do there. And then I just put that aside because I'm not ready, but look, this is dry, so then we just bloop. Y'all, look at that. I'm so proud of myself for this pattern, and the reason is because I've messed this up so many times on my own. As creative as I am, boy, the hot glue sometimes stumps me. All right, just to get our fitting, you don't have to thread the wire through the body yet. Just make sure that little part that we tied is in the center at the top. Pull down the hat. You can see the wire sticking out. Don't worry, we're just going to be putting on the beard right now. Once you have it where you want it, you determine the amount of scrunch in your hat. The 12-inch body with this same pattern has more scrunch than the 13-inch body, but you could raise up this hat and give it even more scrunch if you want. I'm tucking that faux fur underneath, centering it in the body, and then I'm going to glue that down. Generous glue on the back of that faux fur. Try not to get any glue on the fur, and you are golden. Y'all, I'm happy. It would embarrass me if I told you when I'm making this. It's still really cold outside. It's nowhere near Easter, but I wanted to start on all my Easter gnomes this year because I didn't get a good chance last year. So I split the fur to the fabric backing in the center of the beard, added a good bit of hot glue, and then added my gnome nose on. I figured out where those wires were going to poke into the body, cut a very tiny slit, and instead of threading them through just like that, don't do that. Bend them down or even in a U, because that way they won't poke out through the bottom or the side. So then once you have those threaded in there, just make sure they're sitting close to the bottom, and then just put on the hat exactly how you want it. Just pull it down on either side and make sure the front and backs are the right amount of squish that you want. Go ahead and add a little glue to the inside brim of the hat and then pop that down onto the top of the nose. If you have any glue that seeps out, just wipe it off with your fingernail. And now it's time to glue down the back of the hat all the way around. And you're almost done. You could have a bow on the little girl. I know that didn't look in the middle, but it was in the middle, I promise. I'm just going to add on my little pom-pom, and this guy's done. One floppy ear, one posable ear. You can do both of them posed. But now I have two, and I'm going to start an army. Anyway, let me know down in the comments, what do you think of this sweet little Easter craft? I appreciate you being here. Please like, share, and subscribe for more crafty fun.